Hey Kyle, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Really excited to be here and talk with you a little bit about this. I think this video series has been really cool to be able to learn more about other students and what's going on. So,
Mm.
um, really grateful for you reaching out and looking forward to talking with you.
Yeah, man, we've had I think just one class together preaching, right? I don't remember if we've had another, but yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm excited. And it's hard on Zoom to get to know students. That's kind of why we're also
hmm
doing this.
hmm
It's hard to talk to one specific little box when there's like 20 little boxes on the screen.
Yeah. Right.
This will be good, man. So we'll just start off. Kyle, introduce us. Where are you living? What are you doing ministry wise? What degree are you pursuing? And we'll just kind of go from there.
Yeah. So right now I am the young professionals minister at Pleasant Valley Church of Christ in Little Rock. Although I live in Searcy, so I commute an hour pretty frequently down there. It's not too bad of a drive. You get used to it. A lot of podcasts.
I was
So
going to
that's
say, I'm sure you listen to a lot of podcasts on the way.
yeah, that's a big blessing actually in disguise. But yeah, that's been an awesome ministry. I've loved being able to pour into people there and sort of cultivate and create a leadership team and try to pass that down so that it's a sustainable ministry moving forward. So I've really enjoyed my time there. That's been great. I'm married to Abby. She is absolutely amazing. Whenever I always say that I'm married up, like way, way, way married up. And anytime someone tries to like defend me to me, I'm like, no, guys, you don't understand.
I
like
don't
she is
need this.
amazing. Uh, yeah, I think she's one of the most like Jesus-like people that I know in my life, and it's really a blessing to be able to be refined by her every day. So yeah, I can't talk enough about how great she is. I'm from Kansas City originally, and my dad is an elder at my home church growing up, and my mom was the secretary, aka like the president of the
That's
church.
right.
She ran things.
She
Um,
ran things and probably knew everything. That's the way
Oh
that
yeah, I mean,
it
if anyone
goes.
ever had a question about anything, and still to this day, they go to her. Um, but yeah, I have two older sisters. They're great. I have a good brother-in-law and the best nephew in the world named Reese. He is now 3, I think. Um, so yeah, that's kind of my family life. Was there something else with that I didn't say?
What degree are you pursuing?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm getting a Master of Divinity,
Mhm.
and that has been a marathon. There's been times where it feels like I've been trying to run through a brick wall to persevere to finish it, but but I'm on my last little stretch here since I'm graduating in May, so I'm excited to move on from this.
That's exciting. I am jealous, man. That's exciting. So how did you and Abby meet in undergrad?
Yes,
Okay. And where'd you do
yeah,
your undergrad?
Harding.
Harding. Awesome.
hmm
That's cool. Okay, so next question is I always find it interesting, and it's probably because you went to Harding undergrad, but what was kind of your journey of deciding to go to HST?
hmm
What were kind of your motivations and goals when you first started? And then maybe how's that changed now that you're on the back end of that?
Yeah, well, I will say I want to preface this by saying like deep down in my soul, I feel like I am not an academic person.
Mhm.
So growing up, I was very, and there's still roots of this in me. I was very like anti-reading. I
Mhm.
I hated, absolutely hated reading with a passion. Any English class was my least favorite class. Like I was much more of a science, math, like give me formulas to plug stuff into and let
Mhm.
me know that my work is right, sort of thing.
Mhm.
Um, so whenever I was coming into Harding, I was thinking I'm just going to get a bachelor's degree and I'm just going to move on and be a preacher somewhere and call it good. I thought a bachelor's degree was for sure my ceiling and I was not going to be able to go higher than that. And I felt like coming into school, my undergrad, I felt like I knew everything about the Bible. Like I felt pretty good about myself and thought I could teach people. I could teach my professors even a thing or two, and that got destroyed pretty quickly. Um, but I think what made me want to start pursuing HST or getting a master's degree in general, my senior year of college, um, I was exposed to biblical criticism for the first time. And I was very black and white with my belief system. And at the time, I didn't realize how much of a foundational pillar like the inerrancy of scripture was for me and my faith. And the moment that that class sort of started tweaking that and sort of knocking away that foundation, if you will, that really started unraveling a lot for me, started deconstructing a lot, started asking a lot of questions. And really, I would say it was probably like a faith crisis to an extent. And I think the goal with that undergrad sort of course is to sort of do that, but then biblical theology the next semester is sort of there to try to reconstruct some stuff for you. Although it didn't really do that for me. Like it helped to an extent. It helped me try to think about the things I believed. But whenever I started taking that class, because I had absolutely zero intention of wanting to get a master's degree coming into my senior year. But as that biblical criticism class kept happening, I was like, I can't go into ministry like this. Like, I don't think that I'm in a place spiritually. I don't think my faith is strong enough right now to be able to lead people effectively. So I was like, I need to get further education. It wasn't even a question. It was like, I need someone to help me figure out what to do with all of this. And so I applied to a bunch of different schools and ultimately chose HST. And HST has been a big blessing to me in helping reconstruct and to continue to deconstruct some stuff that needed to be. They had like really good biblical criticism classes that I think helped me get more language to what I was feeling and also help put the pieces back together a little bit. And I think ultimately through this journey, and it really is just a complete journey. I think that's one of the best words to use to describe it. I think my faith now it's for sure stronger than what it was back then, in like my undergrad years, but I think it's probably the strongest that it's been in my life because I've sort of replaced that foundation of scripture in my life to being Jesus. And I think that distinction is so important and it's really everything to me. I think my faith is a lot more flexible now than what it has been before. Because whenever you have scriptural inerrancy as a foundational pillar of your faith, the moment one thing, it doesn't matter what it is, one thing kind of gets unearthed there, like everything starts to crumble. So I feel like I'm in a place now where I'm able to enter into those conversations and my faith isn't altered. It's not, my foundation isn't based upon that anymore. I still believe scripture is extremely reliable, don't get me wrong. But my foundation is based upon the witness of the church, the witness of the apostles, the impact Jesus has had on the world. Like it's really comes down to Jesus as the foundation. And I think that's a more scriptural belief anyway, because there is no other foundation than Jesus. So I think HST has kind of helped me steer in the right direction with that. And also being at Pleasant Valley under Jonathan Storment, he's kind of helped chip away a lot of the overly academic stuff that can be detrimental to a person's soul. And helped me, I think, really put together a stronger faith that still is very academic and loves the research and loves the learning. Like I'm a learner at heart. I love that stuff. But at the same time is like, it's nice to have a foot in the academic world and a foot in the church world to be able to see like what people actually care about, what's really important, while also learning how to do the research for yourself to help sort of lead your church and seeing some of the more beautiful aspects of God that they may not have seen otherwise. So, yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting to hear. Thank you, Kyle, for sharing that. It sounds like you've been, like you mentioned, quite a journey from when you started to where you are now. That's great. And kind of going along with that, I think same kind of stream of thinking. during HST and during kind of ministry work, what have you found to be healthy practices that keep, maybe that balanced life of academics and ministry, and how do those kind of go together for you?
Yeah, I'm really happy you're asking that question, because I think a tendency that a lot of people who are students in grad schools everywhere, they kind of can treat God more like an academic study than a personal relationship.
Yes.
And that was one of the best pieces of advice I think John Mark Hicks gave in his theological hermeneutics class, was saying, like, you need to supplement devotional study with academic study. And that's something I really wasn't doing up until that point.
Yeah.
And it's such a beneficial thing to do. So after that class, I really started to pour more into my spiritual life, because that's more important than the academic life. And I think one of the things that's been really helpful to me is I made this sort of long personal creed for myself.
Cool.
So I was thinking about the type of person I want to be in comparison to the person I am now, and sort of trying to pray those things into existence. So I wrote out this pretty long creed about a lot of my weaknesses and prayers for God to refine them and ultimately help make me more like Jesus. I have like a longer version and a shorter version to, if I'm short on time, I'll use the shorter version that kind of still gets the same sort of meat. But that's been really helpful. It's just a very simple thing. Whenever you wake up, it just kind of resets your mind to not just doing what's natural, not doing what your impulses are, but trying to be mindful of Christ in your day-to-day life. That's been really helpful.
Wow, that's really fascinating. We have not heard that on this in this series before. So you use that as a prayer then?
Yeah.
If you got, okay. Wow.
Right. So I spent a few weeks sort of reading a bunch of spiritual formation books and different books. I was like, okay, I do very bad at this. I do very bad at this. I do very bad at this. How can I create a way for me to be mindful of those things in a sort of consistent basis? How can I really capitalize on this and be intentional about pursuing these things? And to me, it seemed like the thing that would be the most helpful would be to make a prayer that I pray every day, and that sort of recenters myself on what's the most important thing. So that's been super, super beneficial. And I would say that's high up there. Also, any like sermon and teaching prep, I really see that as a sort of spiritual discipline in a way, because every time I make a sermon, really what's happening is God is giving me a sermon. Like he is sort of chipping something away in me. He's making me see something, and it's like, man, I don't really like that part of myself. And it's a sanctifying thing, and it's really holy, and I get so much life out of just sitting with the text and reading and seeing God sort of give me some new revelation, some new meat that I haven't thought about before, that is really life-changing to me. So I would say sermon prep's up there for sure as well. My wife, she's getting trained in spiritual direction.
Oh, really?
Yes. And that's been really interesting. She's kind of, you're not supposed to do this in spiritual direction, but impromptu spiritual direction session on me, and it was super helpful and kind of helped me sort through a lot of things I was going through with God.
Yes.
That I didn't really realize I was until that. So having her sort of be in my life to help me process different spiritual things has been very helpful. And yeah, just like anytime I'm by myself and am not doing something, trying to be mindful of God in those moments, in prayer and listening to worship music, stuff like that.
Awesome. Those are all really, really helpful. Thank you for sharing those. So that's kind of our long form questions. We're going to go through very quickly, just a list of kind of speed round fun questions. So the first one is, if you could eat dinner with one person from the Bible, who and what sentence why?
Oh, Is Jesus included in that or not?
If you want to, but you don't feel like you have to.
I mean, that would easily be my
Yes.
answer. Would be
Yeah.
Jesus. But that's cliche. I'll give you something else. Whew, man, that's hard. I'm waffling between either Paul or Peter.
Okay.
Peter, for the sake of that sort of personal experience with Christ and just being
Mhm.
able to ask him, like, what was he like? Like, tell me about what he cared about. What was an average day for Jesus? So like that aspect for Peter, and then Paul, just like all of his missionary journeys and like
Mm.
the stuff that he's been on, the things he's seen and done, and just get his opinion on the church. And I think that'd be really fascinating too.
Yeah. Yeah. What is the best book you've read this past year?
Oh man, Reading While Black, Esau
Okay.
McCaulley.
Gotcha. I just ordered that book, so that's interesting. Very cool.
Yeah,
And
it's really good.
what is your favorite movie of all time?
This one's hard, man. I will say I would say Christopher Nolan. Anything that he makes is one of my favorites. But I feel like when I'm asked that, I always just say The Dark Knight, just
Mhm.
because that's an answer that I've prepared for questions like this. So I'll say The Dark Knight.
Okay, and last one. What's one thing you like about or love about the city that you live in?
Well, I live in Cersei.
Hmm.
Um, Man, I think I find myself complaining more than saying positive things. But I will say one thing I really like. So being from the Kansas City area, it takes a while to get around town.
Mm.
Um, so just that small town, like there's no traffic. Even whenever there is traffic, there's really not traffic. Like there's like a grocery store a block from me. The library is a block from me. There's a car dealership because my car's broken down a lot, but that's a block for me that I can just drop it off at. So a lot of the things are just like right next to me. So just the ability to get from one place to the next really fast and easily, that's been nice. That's kind of spoiled me.
Cool. Yeah. Well, Kyle, that is the time that we have today. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and I know a lot of people will enjoy just getting to hear more from you personally and hearing about your life. So, thanks, Kyle. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks, Reed. Appreciate it, man.
Mhm.